Hi everyone, Kate here from Sport Canterbury. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Today we're going to talk about how to read and understand nutrition labels. So before we get started, I want you to make sure you've got a food product handy so that we can run through how to read an ingredients list and a nutrition label panel. If you haven't already got a product, quickly go and grab one from your cupboard. Today I'm using a breakfast cereal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the nutrition label panel, alright, and the ingredients list. So the ingredients list should be directly underneath the nutrition label panel. First thing when we look at the ingredients list is the first products listed. Ingredients are listed from largest quantity to smallest quantity. So if we're looking at fat, sugar or salt as one of those first ingredients, it normally means that it's not a healthy choice. Some common names for sugar are things such as corn syrup, maltose, sucrose, honey, golden syrup, maple syrup, those types of things. When we look at fats, a code name for fat is triglycerides, lard, butter, coconut cream, anything along those lines. So I will link a PDF at the bottom with these code names so you've got a good idea of what to look for. Another way I like to look at it is if there's lots of names on there that you can't pronounce, normally it means that it's full of chemicals and that it's not a healthy choice. Always a good rule of thumb. Okay, let's look at the nutrition label panel. When we look at this panel, we want to look at the per 100 gram column. Every product has different serving sizes, which means it's really hard to compare between products if we're looking at the per serving column. The first thing we're going to look at today is fat. So if we're looking at the per 100 gram column and looking at fat total, we want to look for a product that is less than 10 grams of fat per 100 grams. Okay, so rule of thumb, anything less than 10 grams of fat per 100 grams is considered low fat. Underneath you may also see saturated fat or trans fats. Now both our saturated and trans fats are considered unhealthy dietary fats. So with the saturated fat, anything under 2 grams per 100 gram is considered low in saturated fat. When we look at trans fats, ideally we don't have any of these in the product. We should try to limit these from our diet. Next, we've got carbohydrates, and underneath that, sugar, which is the main one we want to look at. When we look at sugar, again, looking at the per 100 gram column, anything under 10 grams of sugar, just like fat, is considered low sugar per 100 grams. Okay, so have a look at your column, your per 100 gram column, and have a look how much sugar there is per 100 grams. If there's less than 10, then that's considered a low sugar product. Anything over 10 means that it is considered on the higher side. Next we have dietary fibre. Our dietary fibre is important for our bowel health, and it can also help maintain a regular healthy weight because it creates bulk in your stomach, which keeps you fuller for longer. So this is something we want to have a lot of in our diet. So when we look at the dietary fibre column and the per 100 grams, we want to make sure that we've got more than 5 grams per 100 grams to consider it a high fibre product. Normally it is our breakfast cereals and our whole grain products that are high in our dietary fibre. That's why it's important that we have these in our diet. Lastly, we're going to look at sodium. When we're looking at sodium, again, straight to the per 100 gram column, have a look at your product. How much sodium is in your product? If it is less than 400 milligrams per 100 grams, it's considered low sodium. Anything over 600 milligrams per 100 grams is considered high sodium. Okay, so sodium is something that we want to limit in our diet. So looking for those products that are under 400 milligrams per 100 grams is the way to go. A good way to remember these recommendations is the 10-10-5 rule. Under 10 grams of fat per 100 grams, under 10 grams of sugar per 100 grams, and more than 5 grams of fibre per 100 grams. Remember these 3 things and that'll give you a good guide on how to pick a healthy product. Now that we've talked about how to read and understand nutrition labels, we're going to touch on food portions and how we can use our hands as a guide to portion our food. First of all, we're going to look at non-starchy vegetables. So using our hands cupped together, this is a good indicator of a serving size of non-starchy vegetables. Looking at grains, we're looking at a closed fist. So this area here and this size is a good indicator of a serving size of grainy foods. So that's your potato, your kumara, your rice, pasta, those types of foods. If we're looking at fish, we're using our whole hand as a serving size suggestion. Okay, so this whole area here is a good indicator of how much fish you should eat as a serving. Using our hand again and just the palm area, this here is a good indicator of how much poultry or meat you could be eating at a serving. And also wanted to touch briefly on snack size, so looking at our fruit, nuts, those non-starchy vegetables. So using our hand again and what we can fit into our cupped hand is a good indicator of a snack size. Alternatively to using the hand technique, you can also look at using the plate technique. So I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, but this is a really good guide on how your dinner plate should look. So if you can see here, we've got half our plate is vegetables. Okay, so that's our non-starchy vegetables such as carrot, greens, cucumber, onion, capsicum, those types of things. We've also got a quarter of our plate portioned out for protein. So these are our poultry and meat, legumes, eggs, those types of foods. So your protein should fit in a quarter of your plate. And then we've got a quarter of the plate for carbohydrates. So these are our whole grains, our rice, pasta, bread, those types of foods, including potatoes and kumara. Another good way to measure your portions when you're looking at your plate technique is to use a smaller dinner plate. Okay, if you use a dinner plate that's a little bit smaller, you're less likely to eat as much. This summarises our education session today. I hope you've found some helpful tips and tricks to take away. If you've got any questions relating to today's topic, please flick them through and we'll do our best to answer them in our Q&A sessions. I've also linked some helpful PDF documents, which includes a supermarket shopping guide and a guide around using your hands for food portion control. Thank you for listening. Hope you've found something really helpful to take away from today. I look forward to seeing you next time.